turbo diesel Saturn project, and it's actually a decent intercooler. The input and the output flanges are the perfect sizes for the existing plumbing that we're using. The only problem with this intercooler is it's too long and it won't fit in the limited space
Hi guys,
that we have. So
I'm
we're
watching
gonna
my
ditch
usual
this guy and
Sunday
try something a bit
programming.
smaller. But more importantly, the input and the output flanges on this intercooler are a lot easier to deal with, although they are a lot bigger than what we need. So here you can see the size difference between the two intercoolers, but keep in mind we're only feeding a 719cc 3-cylinder engine with relatively low boost, and the smaller intercooler should be fine for our application. So putting the intercooler in an area with direct airflow requires a complex mounting system. Now, I didn't want to drill any holes or cut any metal,
Okay,
so
some
I came
electric
up with this
fences,
mounting
that's gonna
base
be
that's
useful.
made from a sheet of plywood and a 2x4. This chunk of crudely painted wood transforms the convoluted opening in the front of the car into a nice clean space where the intercooler can be placed. Now, I'm not a big fan of using 2x4s in automotive applications, but when you consider Rolls-Royce uses wood in their cars, well, this chunk of wood may in fact add a touch of class to this otherwise lowly Honda. Anyway, let's install this stuff and see how it all fits.
That is true. High-end
So
cars
that's
do
definitely
use wood.
high-class stuff right there. Now let's drop the intercooler in.
That's a nice high-class mount for
Aw,
your
that's too
intercooler.
bad. Now you can't see the fancy woodwork. Oh well, I'll always know it's there. Alright, let's fast forward through this part and get to something more interesting. So obviously the intercooler's in and it's clamped to the wooden base. Now we have a new problem. You see, it's possible for the intercooler and the radiator to bump into each other. I reckon this may cause problems down the road. The good news is there's a hole under the bumper cover that we can use for yet another bracket that'll keep the intercooler from hitting the radiator. So let's do that. Fast forward a few minutes and I was able to custom fabricate a brace off camera and install it on the car. Now we're good to go for the rest of the installation. So we need to connect this input flange on the intercooler to the output side of the AMR 500
No
supercharger.
ammo.
And for that,
I
I'll use
need
two
ammo.
90-degree bends
Uh-oh.
spliced together.
That's not a good place to
when we're
be.
all done, we'll have used every square inch of space on this side of the car. Now the good news is, well, there's plenty of airflow in this
Right.
area and
Where
nothing
can I-
ever gets hot.
where can I use this
Actually,
to
most
greatest
of the time
effect?
the engine compartment
I think
stays
there.
unusually full, and heat has never been an issue with this car. And now we can install the other induction pipe. This guy was a bit more difficult to fabricate, well, because it has to
That
snake
ammo's
over
there,
the
which I
alternator
can't
in order
reach
to
because
stay
there
clear
is
of the
dangerous.
exhaust pipe.
Ouch.
Okay, well that should do it. But before I tighten up this last clamp, I want to start the engine and let the supercharger blow some air through the system, just in case there are any chunks of metal in the
That is a
intercooler.
dumb place to put
Stand
ammo.
by for ignition.
The people I'm working with, the people that made this base, they're also very, very dumb.
Well, nothing came flying out, so that's good news.
However-
Let me button all this stuff up, and we can take.
You know what? I'm gonna look. Whoever designed this base, I'm not saying you're as dumb as Sony, but you're getting close. That was a topical joke. And oh yeah, no, that was it. I was going to explain it. Sorry, I'm just sort of focused on running around at the moment. Now, as you may have noticed, the title of this is I hope Sony doesn't buy this game. Now, why would I want that to happen? Right, you see, there's this other game called Helldivers 2, and all my friends, they're playing it, and by all accounts, it's a good, fun, enjoyable game. However, the sort of people that enjoy it are people like me, and that's why I enjoy Starship Troopers, by the way. And the community managers, i.e. people that don't play games and they go on Reddit, they don't like people that play games, to the point where they'll actually go ahead and say, well, we want them to be on PSN because it's going to make it much easier to ban them when they do something we dislike, which is, in other words, oh, are you having too much fun playing your game? You're getting a bit too high spirits. You're having a heated gamer moment. Well, you're going to get banned. There are other legitimate reasons as to one may not want a PlayStation Network account due to numerous safety and data breaches that Sony's happened since 2008. They just do not seem to be able to safely encrypt their confidential customer data, and it's probably cost people millions, if not more, in money. So, you know, I trust Sony with my data, like I trust a pikey with some lead around a church roof. There we go. There we go. I was trying to think, what was that analogy? It's just like, what is it that they like borrowing? So yeah, Helldivers 2, from what I've seen, good game. Similar in way to this. It's, you know what? Time to blow myself up. There we go. However, it's not as is there base building in Helldivers 2? I don't know. I don't play the game. I like the base building aspect of this. I like the music in this. I like the theme. It's nice to have the Marita Mark 1 rifle. All that stuff I enjoy. And Helldivers 2 doesn't have those things. And also, just from the early days, like seeing how they acted on social media, was just like, I don't like this company. They do. And yeah, I've said all that. I'm going to go back to watching my thing because we're all dead.
Take the car out for a road test. So this is pretty exciting for me. You see, now I can say this car is powered by a 719.
Look at these people. They just AFK. I hate it when people do that.
Diesel engine. I reckon the more words I add to the description.
Hey, Dying Light MJ, you're on a smoke break or something. Oh, hang on. I think I might have been disconnected from the game when I tried to reconnect. Yeah, looks like it. So, dropped frames is going down now. Yeah, you know what? Quick to menu. Yeah, because I've lost it.
And the more it will impress the chicks. Well, at least that's the theory.
Hang on, let's go back a bit.
I can say this car is powered by a 719cc supercharged intercooled 3-cylinder Kubota diesel engine. I reckon the more words I add to the description, the more it will impress the chicks. Well,
indeed.
At least that's the theory.
Yep.
The
chicks love modified cars.
Degrees, and we're showing 76 on the meter. Of course, that really means nothing at this point.
So, just for reference, he said it's 24 degrees Celsius.
Wow, we seem to have a significant pressure drop. The boost should be closer to 10 psi off idle. The temperature did go up a tiny bit, but there's no airflow in front of the intercooler, so that seems reasonable. So on today's road test, I want to drive the car for at least an hour in order to verify the intercooler works well for normal driving. So with that in mind, I prepped the car to do a fuel economy test, and we should have some data to compare after the road test. Now, fuel economy is an interesting data point, and while it's not the goal of this project, it's something we can use to evaluate changes we make to the car.
You know what? I don't like being demolition.
Obviously, we didn't have an intercooler.
I don't like being sniper either.
The air temperature at the intake manifold was in the neighborhood of 180 degrees, while the car was at a cruising speed of 55 miles per hour. I do want to improve them. And the supercharger was pumping out a solid 10 psi boost. At the end of that road test, we found the fuel economy was 69.5
going to be an engineer,
gallon, which is actually pretty good, but it's not as good as when the engine was only developing 5 psi boost. I'm thinking at cruising speeds, we really don't need to be running full boost. So the question is the additional boost
you don't have
hurting
time
the
to
fuel
think.
economy, or is the elevated air temperatures having an effect? We'll find out soon enough. Now, for a point of reference, last year when we added an intercooler to the turbo diesel Saturn, we saw 0 improvement in fuel economy and 0 improvement in performance. So it will be interesting to see what numbers we get today. Now, in today's test, we're actually running 2 cameras, and of course the second camera continues to have vibration issues. However, I did capture something interesting. Here, check this out.
There we go.
So that's video proof that this car is no slouch, and if pushed hard enough, it can pass a Ford pickup truck. But basically it's a Ford and pretty much anything can pass one of those. And of course now you can see the vibration issues we're having. I'm starting to think it's the camera and not the camera mounts because I keep making the camera mount stiffer and stiffer and the vibration issues stay about the same. So it looks like the intercooler has dropped the charge temps from 180 down to a more reasonable number, so that's good. The exhaust gas temperatures look about the same as usual, and that's kind of what I expected. Now, the boost pressure, that's interesting. Looks like we have a 2 psi
insufficient
pressure drop across the intercooler, which seems like a lot when you consider everything on this car is scaled
It's not
down.
much of a perimeter, but I have to service for now.
We
Get
have
some more.
data. In the previous fuel economy test, we scored 69.54 miles per US gallon. That's with a full 10 psi
Oh,
of
is
boost
this
pressure
hard?
at the
Oh, fair
manifold
enough.
and 180
I just go in
degrees
quick
air
play,
charge
so I
temps.
don't know what game
Now,
I'm
this
playing.
time around, we successfully dropped the air charge temps to the mid-90s, but we also lost 2 psi of boost due to the pressure drop across the intercooler. Now, this is interesting. The fuel economy stayed exactly the same, and today we scored 69.50 miles per gallon. It's hard to believe that dropping the intake
Let's overcharge
temps
the
had
turret.
zero effect on the fuel economy, but that's what the data is showing. Now consider this, the ambient temps were rather mild at a very comfortable 70 degrees. However, in a month or so, we'll be seeing temps in the mid-90s. So the intercooler may actually have an effect on the hotter days. Anyway, I'm actually tempted to bypass the intercooler when we see hotter weather to see what happens. It actually seems like this engine doesn't care about the intake temps. Unfortunately, due to the rain, we weren't able to gather any acceleration data, so that's still an unknown, and it will be interesting to see when we get some better weather. So the intercooler works as far as managing the air temps, but I guess we need to see more data to see if it helps with performance. Anyway, let's check out the progress of the various gizmos that we're developing to enhance the performance of this engine. This guy is the fuel rack adjustment screw, and it's calibrated at the factory so this engine can more or less run forever at maximum rated power. Well, as it turns out, you can adjust this screw for more power if you add boost to the equation. Now, if you adjust this screw without adding boost, well, you can destroy the engine because the exhaust gas temperatures will go beyond the design limits and the pistons will melt. So we do have boost, and now we need to be able to actively adjust the fuel rack limit depending on how much boost we have and how hard we
Great.
want to run.
No ammo for
You
this
see,
century.
we
Oh,
can
okay,
cheat a
there's
little
that
bit and
turret.
temporarily go way beyond
spoke too
what's safe
soon.
for this engine if we limit how long we expose the engine to maximum fuel load. So that means we need to automate this adjustment screw with some technology. In a previous video, I explained how we were going to build some sort of contraption from an Acme screw, a servo, and some sort of linkage. Now, the reason this looks complicated is, well, because it is complicated. That's because we don't have a lot of space in the area where the adjustment screw is located. Well, I'm glad I showed this crazy contraption in an earlier video because one of the viewers suggested I should look at repurposing a GM idle air control motor, like this one. This motor is relatively compact, and inside the motor there's a screw that's similar to this one. So when the motor is activated, it turns an internal screw that extends this tip in or out. That's exactly what we need, and this guy is very compact. Of course, we'll have to do some modifications to the tip, but that's very doable. Now, one of the cool things about this motor is...
Doable's not a word.
Actually, it's a bipolar stepper motor, and electrically speaking, this motor works the same way as a common stepper motor that you may have seen on something like a 3D printer or other types of CNC machines. Alright, just for an example, I'll show you what a regular stepper motor looks like. So this stepper motor has 4 wires going to it, and if you apply voltage to the correct 2 wires, it will advance the shaft on the motor 1 step and 1 step only. That's it. So in order to get the motor to advance another step, you have to disconnect the power from the 2 wires and apply that voltage to another 2 wires, and the motor will advance yet another step. It's crazy, but these motors will only move 1 step at a time. You see, the trick to making these work is to switch the voltage going to each pair of the wires fast enough that the motor will rotate. Obviously, the best way to do this is with a computer and a stepper motor controller. So this idle air controller motor works the same way, and in order to get the motor shaft to spin to drive the internal screw in or out, we would have to use a computer. This may seem insane to some people, but keep in mind these stepper motors are
What
very
if they
precise,
spent the oil
and they're
on?
intended to be used
I
where
don't know.
accuracy is important. Here, let me show you a quick demo. So this thing is an Arduino Uno microcomputer with a bunch of other stuff attached to it, but basically it's a $12 microcomputer. This guy over here is a stepper motor controller, and it's huge, but this is all I had in stock. Anyway, these generally cost about 15 bucks or cheaper, and you can get them really small, about the size of a postage stamp, really. So this is a potentiometer, and it's wired directly into the Arduino. When I turn the shaft on the potentiometer, it will alter the voltage being sent to the microcomputer, and of course the computer will know that the shaft is being turned. Now all of this stuff requires custom code to be programmed in order for it to work. Without the code, well, nothing will work. Anyway, when I move the shaft on the potentiometer, the signal to the microcomputer changes, and the computer calculates the necessary data to send to the stepper motor controller, and the stepper motor will move. That's the magic of electronics and code. Oh, by the way,
Have we got a medic?
How a servo moves,
If you could
but
come into
definitely
the
not how a servo works. Now the microcomputer
revive,
always
please.
knows the position of the potentiometer because of the voltage signal it's sending to the computer. However, it really doesn't know the position of the stepper motor other than the fact that the microcomputer is keeping track of how many steps it commands the
Damn it,
motor to move
can't
in
do
either
it, never mind.
direction. Now, if I shut the power off, that'll cause the microcomputer to lose track of the position of the stepper motor because all the data it's been collecting will be lost. But there's a trick I programmed into this gizmo so it can figure out where the stepper motor should be after the power is restored. Here, let me turn the power off. Okay, now the microcomputer is off and all the data it was collecting is gone. And when I turn the power back on, the microcomputer will have to generate new data. So on power up, the microcomputer sent the stepper motor controller a command to spin the motor counterclockwise 200 steps. And that's so the microcomputer can establish where the home position is. Now, in this demo, it's a bit sloppy and some of the stuff bounced around, and it's not perfect. But once the stepper motor reaches its home position, the microcomputer will look at the data from the potentiometer and then calculate that the stepper needs to move 100 steps clockwise from the home position. Now the reason I'm showing you all this is so you understand how this stuff will provide precise control of the fuel rack position even after the ignition is shut off and all the data is lost. Okay, well let's take another look at this stuff, but this time we'll use our repurposed idle air controller motor. Now in a moment, I'll turn the power on and you can see the motor retract to find home position, and then it will go to the position that the potentiometer wants it to go to. Not too shabby. Now I have all this stuff slowed down so it's easier to
Come on.
see, but I can
Get
change a few
fuck's
variables
sake.
in the code,
And
this
I
stuff
can't
will
use
be a
the
lot
gate
faster.
because it's switched
If I
off.
change the position of the
Fuck me.
potentiometer, you can see the
How do I
fuel
get back
rack
in?
limiter thingy moves in and
Jeez
out. Now when this
Louise.
system's on the engine, the
That was,
microcomputer will automatically
bit of a
calculate the
wind
best
up.
position of the fuel rack limit, and that'll be based on the throttle position and the boost pressure, and perhaps a few other things. The potentiometer isn't necessarily going to be used. However, we will need it when we first do our experiments and collect the data.
Oh,
so we
looks
can
like we've got
program it
another
correctly.
engineer who's
Just for
competent.
fun, let's turn off the power and make this thing figure out where it needs to go. So yeah, it went to the home position, then it went back to the position that the potentiometer is telling it to go. Now, if the potentiometer were moved when the power was off, well, that's not a big deal. When the system powers back on, the fuel rack limiter will of course go
Hey,
to the
medic.
position, and then it will move to the new position.
Maybe
that
focus
the
on reviving
potentiometer
rather
is
than
telling
just
it to
aiming
go.
down your
And like I
sights.
said, this stuff will move a lot faster when it's actually in use. So to get this repurposed idle air controller motor to fit the Kubota engine, I designed some 3D printed parts that'll fit the front of the engine, and it will kind of hold everything in place. These, of course, are prototype parts, and they're printed with PLA
And as I
plastic,
told the
which is
medic
good
to
for
focus on his
prototyping,
specialty,
but PLA
I'm going to
isn't
focus
suitable
on
for
my
use on
own.
hot engines, so the final parts will be made from
And that is,
ASA
I can
plastic.
I can
Let's
repair
take a look
things
at
with
how
an
all this fits on
overcharged
the
build
engine.
tool.
So this is
So even though
basically
the
how this stuff
mobile
fits the engine, and for the
HQ
most
is
part, it fits
offline,
in the limited space.
I can
However,
still
we do
repair
have
things.
an interference issue with the alternator belt. So when the belt's installed, well, it rubs against the gizmo, and it ain't gonna work. I kinda knew this was gonna be a problem, but I went ahead and worked out all the other issues, and I wanted to see how close we were gonna be. And it's not good. But don't worry, it's easy to make changes to the 3D printed parts. Once I have an idea how much needs to be trimmed, I think I can redesign this with the necessary clearance and still have a robust system. So earlier in this video, I mentioned that we'll be making changes to the boost dump valve. Now, this guy I demonstrated in the previous video, And it works fine on the bench. However, I really like the compact size of the idle air controller motors, and I think we'll end up using one or two of these guys to regulate the boost on the supercharger. These look like they would be simple to design a fixture for, and they may actually be more accurate for regulating boost. Of course, that's just a theory.
Yeah, I
We need to do
agree.
some experiments to confirm that. Now, none of this stuff is really necessary. The car seems to drive fine without any of this junk. But keep in mind, this extra level of technology should make the car more drivable in an urban environment. And that's pretty much the next challenge. And as a bonus, we'll be able to cheat a little bit and squeeze more power from the engine, you know, for science or something like that. Looks like I got a lot of stuff to build and time is running short this week. So now's a good time to end the video. We'll see you next time. Until then.
Inferno Artillery northeast. I can't see what I'm shooting at. Someone get on the gun, I'll reload you. Alright, I'll get on the gun then.
Today we're using this $60,000 laser scanner to create the perfect CPU cooler cold plate with microscopic accuracy and precision. We have these CPU cooler cold plates custom manufactured to match the curvature of the heat spreader when under clamping pressure from the Intel ILM and AMD's.
Oh, okay, that's going to be an interesting video.
Next, we used this chemically reactive pressure paper to create some scans of how the IHS contacts the cold plate, and then we gave it to Mike to make pseudo-color images. And all that brings us to thermal testing, where we finally get to evaluate a long-running weak point in cooler review, which is the IHS style. Now, the reason to test on a single style of IHS is because to get a proper, in-depth, and accurate cooler review, just for one CPU, it can take 40 hours. So we have to pick and choose carefully, but we want to evaluate this because, in theory, if you choose any one of these four coolers that we have on the table, it's possible that they perform
Let's go and
drastically
help him.
different depending on which CPU you put it on
Can't
top
do it.
of. That's because
Well, I
despite
can
all
reload
those
him.
degrees,
That's how.
have them heavily modified. So that's what
I
we're
could
gonna
have
do.
built ammo. I could
We
have.
brought you this video with our brand new Cyberskeleton V2 limited foil shirt on store.gamersaccess.net.
Well, let's
But you can
try
also
that
grab
then,
one of
shall
our
we?
PC built-in mod mats or highly heat-resistant silicone soldering and project mats or other items on the store. These videos are part of our ongoing in-depth lab testing efforts that we've been working on for well over 10 years now. But thanks to you all supporting us directly, we've been able to really ramp that testing quality lately. All the new 3D animations you saw in our cross-flow fan video and this one.
I'll let you
and
build
our
new
ultra
structures, I'm just
precision
repairing the
laser
existing
scanner
ones.
alongside our hemi-anechoic chamber are our way of reinvesting into the channel and into publicly available engineering education for computer hardware. If you'd like to support our efforts to inform and report, head over to store.gamersaccess.net and grab one of our items. The skeleton foil shirts will only be available for a limited time and were introduced as a way to support our EK investigation. We also just recently introduced our copper-plated mule mugs with a fitting thermal conductivity formula laser etched into the hammered surface. Thanks for your support of our vision for more scientific content. Let's get back to it. We added Intel testing to our CPU core reviews a couple months ago. You'll see it in some of the more recent testing. It's because we've been working on this. It's a lot more time, but we think it's worth it, and enough of you watching this, by the way, thank you. We're able to support that effort now. So, here's some interesting data. And we'll get
You're on a
to
machine gun, try to focus on gunner.
So these are 4 cooler cold plates that we used our 3D laser scanner to
Hey,
scan
can someone mount the northeast gun, please?
our shape. And the way this came about is we were talking with
That way I can focus on keeping things patched up.
Kitagawa-san at Computex last year, and the concept came up where I asked him, is it possible for you to make a golden sample cooler? Can you make the perfect cooler and fine-tune it specifically for one platform or IHS? And he said, let us try it out. So, we asked them to make a few different coolers. They did not sponsor this. This is purely a scientific curiosity from us, from a methodological standpoint, and from them because they were trying to basically determine if it makes sense to productize anything. This is actually what we'll call the golden sample. It's magnified 100 times. So it's really, really sort of distorted to show the differences. This is one of the other ones. It's a retail sample we bought from Amazon. Much less.
My
of
super
that.
builder is
a lot flatter, but it is nowhere
offline.
near as flat as these two. These we had them custom made because we use an AMP4 bench for our sort of primary data set, and we've just added Intel back in to try and accommodate.
Stay on that gun and I'll keep you fed with ammo.
So by having a custom flat cold plate made, in theory, they'd be able to game the system on an AM4 platform. But it's also a valid way to try and cool it better. So this is a concept that's come up before where the cold plate, or actually cooler manufacturers, they have to choose, do they want to fine tune for basically one IHS, or do they want to make something that works pretty well on everything, where you get most of the deformation between the cold plate and the CPUs is actually going to be the CPUs. Here's a modern Intel CPU with the ILM clamped down and at a 100x magnification. You can see that at the points where the clamp applies the force, the middle edges on the long side, the CPU has clearly pushed it downwards and deformed centrally. You can see that in our animation we made back when we reviewed the contact frames, which are known to flatten the CPU. We've already proven that point. It's a known quantity, but what we didn't have was these cool 3D scans to understand exactly how it's deforming. Now that indent will absolutely manifest itself in the form of contact with the cold plate. We'd ideally want a cold plate to mate with it perfectly and sort of socket in. But what's interesting is that an unsocketed Intel CPU just sitting on a flat surface in the scanner is almost completely flat, even if it's been mounted before. But this is magnified at 100x also, and even still, we're really only seeing the usual microscopic imperfections, but very little curvature. This CPU has been used a lot, so if it were to be permanently bent, we would see it by now. That clamp is definitely deforming it in ways for which the cold plate can be tuned by sight. They're manufacturing of the custom test samples today. Here's a look at an AM4 CPU. Even at 100x and clamped, the CPU is almost perfectly flat. The old PGA socket doesn't change anything from flat, so just showing this. And there's a slight ripple in the surface, but that's a mix of the magnification and the imperfect.
I'm sorry if I haven't responded to the chat. That is the fun part of it, but as you can see, a little bit busy.
Would have different cold plate curvature optimization.
I do apologise for that.
Manufacturers could do if they wanted to fine tune. AM5 has an ILM though, and that's where this gets really interesting. AM5's pattern is woefully opposite of what we just saw with Intel. You can see that it bows upward in the center at the points perpendicular to the clamping direction. This is going to be problematic. Now, in terms of maximum cooling compatibility, it's actually the worst possible outcome because what happens, just to help people understand and map those 3D images to something in real life, basically on the AMD one, along this strip centrally and so pointing towards the camera on these narrower points where there's no clamp, what we have is technically a bowing up. So this is coming outward centrally. And on Intel, if we come over here, it's basically the opposite. They're almost counter to each other perfectly, where this one is dipping inward and following that arcing path towards these clamp points. Now, most coolers don't actually fine-tune the cold plate to this level. There are some. Noctua has talked about it in years past, but the fact that the CPU indentations effectively intersect means the ideal setup would be very CPU specific. In an ideal world, you'd have one for AM5 CPUs, one for Intel current, and then one for AM4. And you would need to maintain all of those.
That's as much as I can do.
Many
Then.
boring reasons, such as economies of scale, supply and demand, and customers getting confused, that's not really feasible. But it's still fun to explore. Now, for the coolers that we have today, we have a review sort of golden sample. This is the one where we ask the site, hey, pull the best possible one you can find and try to tune it for that cold plate curvature. And basically we're asking for, what if you tuned it for Intel, effectively? And then the next we were looking at were flat samples. We're calling these B and E, golden samples. So these
What I
are
find
flatter.
interesting about the concept of tuning is we get that from carburetors, which is something I was playing around with today.
blind purchase.
I'm actually looking
and that's
forward
just
to
sort of
going
the
to a
what
fastener
you
shop
get
to
if you
get.
buy one
I
off
need
the
to get
shelf.
some new
The
bolts.
cooler variance overall is extremely low if you have good test processes, which we do, and because of the changes made to the cold plate, each of these, any change outside of a 1 degree difference would be considered as outside of error. And of course, all of this content and in-depth testing is only possible because you all have supported us enough over the years with Patreon and with store
Come on.
purchases
Oh,
to
just a
scan,
little bit
which
too
allowed us to
slow.
map
A
the
little bit
IHS
too
to the
slow.
cold plate. Here's a scan of a normal Scythe Puma 3 without modifications. When unmagnified just from off of Amazon, it just looks kind of flat. You can see some color.
Oh, it looks like the other engineer's doing what I'm doing.
But to really see the curvature, we need to magnify this. And this scan is boosted at 100x magnification, which reveals details invisible to the human eye. You can see that the cold plate is curving towards the laser. If you imagine that the laser is actually a CPU, it's convex and curving centrally towards the CPU IHS. However, as this is magnified at 100x, it's so slight that it might not have a real impact on contact. Pressure distribution and flexing of the plate occur during install, so it's further possible that this flattens out once we actually secure it to the IHS. Either way, the retail Puma 3 is heavily curved as compared to our custom-made AM4 samples, where we requested a flat surface. This is golden sample B, which you can see is incredibly flat by contrast. It's actually impressive how flat they got this plate. It should work well for AM4. This is sample B, which likewise is overall very flat. They basically made
That's that
because
done.
They weren't sure how good they could get it. And
Fuck.
finally, here's the actual golden sample unit.
Medic.
This one should be amazing for Intel.
Okay, that's really good. They spent a lot of time making some. So hi Ian, welcome to the show. And just Ian then. Yeah, hi Ian. Yeah, cool.
Today we're using this 60,000.
Oh yeah, but I'm already on your $60,000 machine to make a flap thing. Cars I don't like. Oh, that could be fun. Online Photoshop alternatives, that could be kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to go back to
Because the indentation that lines
listening
up
to
with
this
the
then.
cavity in the IHS when the ILM pressure is applied. This
So
is
who's
the
still
one to pay
alive?
attention
We
to
got
in Intel
this
testing.
dickhead
The
here.
process involves disclosing limitations, so we have a few for this test. First of all, we can't control things like the heat pipe or the fin stack. The fin stack density, the actual design is all the same. I mean, it's the same product. But technically speaking, heat pipes can have sort of a yield, where they can be better or worse. But Scythe has a controlled process for selecting its heat pipes. Actually, Noctua is another company that has told us in the past. It does a lot of selection and sampling for heat pipes, so it should be about as controlled as we can get there. The fans are another variable, but we chose to eliminate them. So that use the same set of two fans, put them in the same order. So the front fans always the front, middle fans always the middle, same RPM, and all that's validated. So that's controlled, it's taken care of pretty well. All right. Now we need a hypothesis. First, the laser scan. Here's
Cool.
how everything should work. This golden sample cooler should work best on both AMD AM4 and Intel LGA 1700. The reason is because it's a clever combination of engineering from Scythe and the process of tweaking this cold plate. When we asked them to curve the cold plate in a convex way to make it the Intel CPU, both of us realized that this curve could be slightly offset to bias it towards the hottest part of the Intel CPU and still land right between most of the silicon on the AMD CPU, like the I/O die. That means that while it makes
No, I can't do that because I think everybody's dead.
We can apply the most
No.
pressure.
These two
to the
dudes are still
surface
alive.
area of the
Not
flat
going to revive any of us
CPU.
though.
In theory, this makes it the best possible for each, but it would be suboptimal for AM5 due to the perpendicularly intersecting curve. Sample E and sample B coolers are flatter, so those should theoretically work better on AM4 than on Intel. Sample E is the best of these two. The flatness means that Intel, if we exaggerate its curvature, will end up with reduced pressure centrally where the die is, while AMD will end up with evenly distributed pressure across the IHS, but less than the golden sample on the chiplet location. Here are the Intel thermal results. We theorized that the golden sample would do best on Intel, and it does, by a lot. This is actually really exciting data because everything about the way the cold plate shapes for this one says that it should mate nearly perfectly with that indent on Intel. The end result is almost 3 degrees improved over one of the flattest plates.
So it turns out
Scythe asked us last
the
year if we thought they should sell separate ambient Intel coolers. And wonder why Noctua has done that sparingly in the back.
the flatter you make your cold plate, the colder things are.
The chart, it's huge. The core-to-core delta remains similar, so we're still limited there by the IHS design, silicon adhesive, the solder. Sample B has a very slight curvature to it, and it outperforms Sample E here as a result on Intel. So this is super exciting. Let's look at the flattest CPU we have, AMD AM4. The top to bottom range is 1.8 degrees. That's relatively tight together, but definitely outside of our typical 1 degree target for review. In this instance, with 3 specially tuned samples, our retail unit ends up the warmest. The golden sample we requested at Computex.
Oh, we
ran at
get
58.2
rewards
degrees,
for
so that's
overcharging.
about
I
a 1
didn't
degree
realise
difference
that.
from our typical acceptable margin of error when measured against the retail unit, and some of that is run-to-run variance. But there is a real difference here. This shows that the golden sample
Anyway,
still works
let's try
optimally
something
on
else.
AM4 as a result of the highest point of pressure being the chiplet area, while in Intel it's the mating that benefits the design. Sample E is functionally the same. Because of how flat it is, its performance is tied for the best performer on AM4 out of these samples. That's a big change from the Intel result, where E was actually the worst performer by 3 degrees. So the theory is proving itself to be real. That's super cool. Sample B wasn't quite as flat, so it didn't do as well here. Despite being mostly flat, it had an unbiased, slight curvature that wasn't focused on the chiplets. That worked against it on AM4, but slightly helped it on Intel earlier. We also ran some quick AM5 tests using a 7950X set to a clock and V-core that had it pulling 185 watts. We found Sample E to be the best performer by a lot, actually, against retail. Going flatter was better than a curve intersecting in the wrong direction.
When he says by a lot, the retail unit, the average temperature of the die is 60.3 degrees. And Sample E, which is flat, is 57.7. So, yeah, you've made a difference of 2.6 degrees. Which, considering what from the retail, that's pretty good, right? I assume they're putting thermal paste on all of these.
Sample B was also up there, followed by the golden sample. As expected, the golden sample unit lost rank with AM5, otherwise they just make it for all platforms. Retail is unfortunately low for all of these. It does okay, as realistically we're talking a couple degrees, but it appears that there might be a better way to make this. Maybe this is an indication that Scythe should consider adopting one of these experimental designs.
Why does my
In
arm
fact,
keep
here's
clicking?
a quick table to rank them in each test.
So anyway,
You can
going
see
with
that the
Demolisher,
retail
even though I
unit
don't
was
like
the
being
worst of two
Demolisher,
tests,
and I'm
basically
doing
tied
it.
for that rank on LGA 1700.
Oh, it's an arc mission.
Now,
I
there's
like
one
arc
downside
missions.
to the way
They're
we did
good.
this testing. Since we did ask for finely tuned coolers, it's possible that we also intersected an area of sampling bias otherwise. For instance, maybe because we bought the retail unit 6 months after the custom ones were made,
hello
something
again.
changed. Either way, generally speaking, the golden sample did best in 2 plates.
Yeah,
but only
nice
slightly
boxes around
disadvantaged
there.
on AM5. This seems to be the best one for the future overall. We'll regroup with Scythe later this month at Computex.
Are
to
you-
talk
are
about
you playing the
findings and see if
drums?
they can apply them to their manufacturing. So check back for that in about 3 to 4 weeks. This next section is super cool. Here's a pressure scan of an AM4 CPU.
went the wrong way.
The far left scan of the golden sample shows extremely high pressure centrally, right down across the middle of the CPU.
Maybe he's
If you
speaking
look
the
at
wrong
flatter
language.
samples B and D, you can see that we have a wider area of coverage across the entire CPU surface, but reduced pressure centrally. That higher pressure
hope
matters
somebody's a
more in
medic.
thermal testing for this one. The retail sample has a mixture of higher spread across the IHS and higher pressure centrally, but it has some spotty weak points. And here's the LGA 1700 Intel CPU. In this one, you can see the golden sample unit has extremely high pressure centrally, and the 2 flat samples do exactly what we expected. They lose contact along the critical edges of the central channel, and they have reduced pressure centrally, with only spotty areas of high pressure. For us, this is actually
Cool.
the most exciting part of the job, because we get to test a concept and then see how it works. And not every aspect worked as we expected it to, but in this particular aspect, it's exactly what you'd predict from a flat plate on a CPU that gets curved inwards by the ILM. Super cool. The retail unit is more similar to the golden sample, just with its less pronounced curve, resulting in a slightly reduced contact along the top edge. Finally, just for some physical
If somebody
visuals
could
of the real
make one of
product,
those
we took a bunch of
first
footage
aid
of the
packs,
coolers
that'd
with
be
a
nice.
high-precision engineered square and a flashlight. We'll just show some of that now. You can see in some situations where the light really cuts under the square, illustrating the amount of curvature in the plate. But as we've learned now, that curvature can be a powerful tool in improving performance in some CPUs by focusing pressure in key areas or by matching the IHS. There were others we tested with the engineer square that blocked most of the light from shining through, and those were generally the custom flat ones that we had made. So as an example, that golden unit that we had made, the perfect one, it ended up being the best performer. That was as expected. What we didn't fully expect was that the flat units, despite actually having the most even distribution of pressure, at least in one instance, didn't end up being the best performer for AM4. Now, another thing that did work out was we expected
Yo,
they would
Mr.
be
Fang,
worse
can you make
for
some
Intel,
Outback?
for LGA 1700. Because of that curvature down in the center and the pressure scans, we saw exactly that, which is super cool and exciting.
Thanks for the info.
But then, likewise, the discovery, or kind of the maybe emphasis on something
Cannot
that was
repair
already
bunker.
maybe assumed,
That
but
means
not
the bunker's
proven,
under
for instance,
attack.
of the fact that the higher pressure contact right across the chiplet
Ooh,
served
ouch.
as a more
Nasty.
valuable approach to the cold plate design than having that even distribution across the whole IHS. Because without testing it, either one seems like it could be a better approach to making a cold plate, and you need that data to really understand how it works out in reality, and we have that now. So super cool stuff. From a product perspective, basically the way this pans out is it looks like if you wanted to tune the cold plate for LGA 1700,
Why
and
can't I
AM4,
repair the
you kinda
bunker?
could, as long as you bias that curvature as a manufacturer.
What's going
designer
on?
towards where the chiplets are located on AM4.
I don't understand.
And otherwise, it'll just mostly nest within the Intel.
Because of
index,
you, you little
assuming an
bugger.
ILM is being used. Whereas another productized way of doing this would be sort of the Arctic approach of them saying, no, there's only one way to install this cooler. It's with a contact frame, period. That's the only way.
I have to kill
no
this
ILMs
fucking
available.
grenadier that's
So that would be
fucking
another way to
nonstop.
sort of force a known contact patch on the CPU across multiple variations. To really maximize this with AM5 also, you'd basically get into an area where in order to have the
think I'm gonna
perfect,
get the fuck out
absolute
of here.
best contact patch without any compromise whatsoever, you're going to run at least a couple different SKUs. And that's a problem because it becomes more difficult to scale, it's more validation to do, it's more customer confusion,
If you're gonna
and
cover
it could
me,
affect
I can try
economies of
to
scale in terms of pricing because now
be
there's
more
different
aggressive here.
cold plates that are being made. So if the company doesn't
Rah.
have factories, then that can start to become a problem too in terms of production and batch size. Now for us, we originally ran all of our tests for coolers on AM4. We had to pick one platform. When we picked it, it was the most popular, at least for our audience at the time. And each cooler takes about 40 hours just to test on one platform alone across 2 to 3 CPUs to get numbers that anyone can even begin to trust, in our opinions. Now, we've detailed that process before, but it requires multiple mounts and passes per mount, and each cooler is about a week of testing work for Mike. And even in spite of all of that, because of some optimizations we've made internally, that's why we added Intel testing a couple months back. So you've seen that in the Fusion 36 reviews,
And I'm dead.
3, the Deep Cool and the Mystique had that tested as well. A couple others we haven't posted yet. That's why we added it, and we like.
There's a
doing these
tiger
tests
trying to mate
because
the
it's just
arc
a public,
reactor.
transparent way of saying, hey, here's a bunch of research.
It
for how we
spawned
should test
inside of
things,
it.
and we use that to drive our decisions, which obviously are all
Someone is
governed
also
ultimately by
trying to
time
shoot.
and cost and things like that. So we're trying to fine tune for the best possible reviews. Even though these findings show that there can be a difference from cold plate design, ultimately what we see is that there's just a lot of nuance there. And to
Still a
truly
drone
know, you
on-
have to test on each platform that's relevant. And so, of course, there's sort of a realistic limitation to anyone's testing,
Yeah.
not just ours. We go a bit overboard already, but anyone else's too, where you have to
So
settle on
many guys
something,
see that
define it, and configure it in a way that's trustworthy. That's the number one important thing. Adding extras after that to try and account for different types of CPUs, that's kind of extra. If there's additional time to spare in the process and additional validation that can be spent on it. But we're trying to do our best to cover all of it, and this is part of why. So really exciting and interesting stuff. Definitely shows why, if time permits, it makes sense to try and test both platforms. But there's going to be a sacrifice somewhere. So one example is you might end up with only high power testing or only medium power testing, but covering 2 IHSs. So there's that test matrix,
Gunners are
and you gotta
priority,
thin it
guys.
out at some point, otherwise it
Here.
ends up being easily 80 plus hours to test one cooler.
Guys,
But
really
I think we found a pretty
struggling.
good balance here, and we're excited.
I'll get the NPC rookies and
You know what?
put
I think
them
just
in
to
base.
improve everything else, I'll
Yeah, should give us
evening
some defense.
interdimensional lizard. I'm just closing down my browser, and the hope is that way it'll have a bit more oomph from the graphics card, or rather, it won't be, you know, spending like 10% of its power doing a YouTube video. Hey, my blind artillery firing actually paid off. Ah, no, I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. Cannot repair bunker. Still can't repair bunker.
Go, touch.
You know, if we could replace this bunker with some electric fence, it might be able to zap these, because they keep spawning right next to the ark.
Oh, fuck.
We can add electric fence outside, but don't take down the bunker.
But what I'm saying is, I want something like electrified right next to the ark, because the bugs keep spawning right next to it. There was a tiger, it was mating it.
Replace one of the walls with it. Replace one of the walls when I take down the bunker.
Yeah.
Keeping the bunker. Right?
Alright, yeah, well, one of these small gate things then.
That medic alive that just fell down. I lost him.
We're not doing that till later because it takes a lot of ore.
Let me just bring up Task Manager. I want to have a look at something. See, why am I getting slow down in this game? So, it's using half my CPU, about 5 gigs of RAM. If I have a look at my CPU, it's saying, whoops, 87, 94%. So that's, 3D is sort of getting close to 100. And video encoding is at 44%. Ah, so that might be it.
They got me next to the pipes. I'm dying.
You know what? Let's go in some graphics options here. Settings, video. Oh yeah, you know what? You can only see 60. I say you can only see 60. Global Lumen HRT. I don't know.
I need more heal steams so I can revive guys.
Image upscaling. Select upscale to maximize performance. Image upscaling is to field of view. That's fine. VSync.
Reviving without healing steams is fucking suicide.
Apply that. See if that makes things any better. Well, that does look better, but it was when I got to that side over there. So if I get there, and if I look here, that seems to be fine. Oh my god, the CPU usage has gone down to 21%, and the video encoding's gone down as well. I mean, it's still using close to 8 gigs of video memory, which is what I've got. So, does anybody hear that noise in the background? It sounds like...
What's it sound like? I have music.
Oh my God! There's coming a goddamn Royal Guard.
It
To the refinery. Hey.
it sounds like boiling.
Don't tempt me with a good time. I just got hurt. I'm on my way.
Let's put up to high.
No, I don't hear that noise.
It's stuck at the silo.
Enemy arachnid patrol detected. Eliminate it to reduce arachnid threat levels in your AO.
It's down.
Yeah,
it's
got
down.
it.
The sound gets louder when you get closer to the arc.
Attention. Elevated arachnid threat levels in
He's getting the arc freeze, these guys. I have to kill him.
I get stuck in the bunker.
Gunner near the climb.
Hey.
To the refi-
Hey.
Plasma
to the
shooter
refinery.
northwest.
I resent this implication I've got beaver fever.
You dead?
Come on, support! Fuck out! What the fuck are you looking?
So yeah, that's at 47%. So let's just go settings, go high, go epic.
Remember, if the first line falls, just go back.
And at 45%, yeah, that's looking pretty good.
securing all resources. Next mission stage is a go.
I think I'm going to go help some people out in the field. So that's
Still need
what.
more ore, guys.
Start filling some canisters, people. Move it.
All right, I'll go to the ore, but an engineer better pick it up. What the hell? I must be hallucinating. There's like bugs that appear near me, then disappear.
Yeah, that's a glitch. It happened. I just pretend my character has PTSD.
I'm getting flashbacks.
He's
Sounds
got that
legit.
Rico dream where he just wakes up in the fucking bath.
The base is under attack in the western quadrant.
You're referring to the anime?
This is
Yeah,
Starship Troopers
No,
anime?
not the anime. I'm referring to the official, or I should say official, the Hollywood version of the comic.
I listened to the
The one that has Denis.
I enjoyed the film.
He gets Slash. He's living in that dream. He wakes up in the tub. Everyone thinks they're watching the scene, but what happens is you're actually just watching his dream.
What's that sound again?
That's why you spawn back up with him after he gets Slash in the tub.
Entrance.
It's insight on the PTSD that soldiers basically face. You know, you get fucking roadside IDF or IED, I should say. IDF is something.
Just
else.
called it a mine.
Be advised, sensors
Too many
Blown up by a
acronyms.
grenade, anything else, right? You're just reliving that. till you get that
Shell
feeling.
shock, and it's a mine. I don't need these two. The only sort of acronyms I understand is radar, and that's it.
proceed to terminate the patrol.
Well, IED is improvised explosive device. Right?
Which is just a fancy way of saying a mine.
Be advised, sensors
Well,
indicate
not
arachnid
necessarily.
threat levels have risen.
A car like a nail bomb wouldn't be considered a mine.
A bomb, then. It's a bomb.
There you go. We can go with that.
I really dislike how military comes up with new bullshit terms to describe things like warfighter.
Shit, we got another.
Under attack in the western quadrant.
Don't worry about the semantics. I don't lose sleep over it.
No, I get really het up about etymology of words.
I look at that shit the same way I look at somebody pissing me off. You know, you got $24 in your wallet. Some guy takes $1. You're gonna throw the other 23 away.
Yes.
It's not. It's
Yes.
just not smart to waste your entire life and day on anger. You're gonna live a shorter
It's
life.
not about the money. It's about sending a
I'm gonna
message.
lose it and get it back, but they got the message.
Stressing your heart for nothing.
These are things to
Control
feel
someone's
passionate
anger, Hear
about.
someone's choice of words, so you might as well just accept it and move on.
I can be annoyed by their choice of words because their choice of words are wrong.
Right?
Ah, that's fair.
Like saying just because you, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I cut your arm off. You are not stronger. Categorically.
I also remember Harry Hill. He was a doctor turned comedian. He said, "You know, my mum always said, what we can't see can't harm you." She died of radiation poisoning.
Yeah. I feel like
I think arguing over semantics is like saying, "Oh, this guy said hello to me instead of hey." And either way, the intent and the content of what he's trying to say is there. So rather than argue over the choice of words, I try.
No, pedantry is very important.
terrible. Yeah, that was very. I mean, honestly, his argument was pedantic. It's the same as saying hey versus love.
The base is under attack in the western quadrant.
What is that sound? But either way, I'm glad that my graphics card is not melting down though, and things are a lot smoother. I think the problem is having games at 120 frames a second.
Help!
I mean, it's nice that the monitor supports it, but my eyes don't really, and it stresses the graphics card. I mean, for the old games, it's brilliant.
Stun them with a gun. You
Like-
have to run.
I got the
Boom!
Guys, now just keep running.
So yeah,
Did KTK make it? Yeah, he made it. Okay.
Scuba, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. That another acronym that I don't Hobbit. Pat testing is the one.
Yeah, it's Nuke. Be careful.
What film was that, Hobbit? Alphabet
Over
Cat.
the bridge.
God
I've got
damn.
the
Oh my
You'll have
God.
to. Now the only film I think I've mentioned is the Starship Troopers one. Apart from that, I don't really have a film. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I won't watch that now. I'm hungry. Anyway, let's just focus on it. I was talking about Starship Troopers. Good film.
There's a Royal Guard to the west. They hit him a lot, but he's...
I also enjoyed the book. The book as read to me. And it's weird because the first time I read the book, I was like in my early 20s, and I hated it. I just thought, this guy is just... It's just the writer's thinly disguised fetish for corporal punishment. And also, I didn't like his philosophy at the time. But now I was like, actually, you know what? This is reasonable. His philosophy is sort of... I can support what he says and justify it with my own first-hand experience. I go like, yeah, what he's talking about is true. And if you don't know what I'm on about, there is a link. There is a link. Hang on, what if I just put the link in the chat and then like anybody that's here can just see it for themselves? Starship Troopers audio book. If I do that, and then yeah, that's the one. It's 8.5
Starship Troopers by Robert A. Heinlein. Copyright 1959.
Yeah, so if you if you just type in Starship Troopers audiobook, it's 8.5 hours long. And the first thing that comes up is Hellblazer 1138 audio, and this is the one. It was done for the Library of Congress for books on tape, because it used to just be like, oh, what if we just read out books so that blind people could enjoy books too? And then it turns out like, yeah, non-blind people also enjoy having books read to them. It's a strange concept, I know, but. I really like having books read to me. Most fiction I listen to, most fiction I've consumed in the past 10 years has been audiobooks. It's a big deal for me. It's something I've enjoyed when driving. So when I was doing the lorry driving, I enjoyed it a lot. and it's something that I listen to about 15 minutes before I go to bed. That helps me go to sleep.
Get those guys up, come on. You don't have any reinforcements.
Hey, I got it. Nice. I got another one. I always sound astounded by that because it's like, yeah, I'm basically, I've got artillery here with this grenade launcher, and you have to do indirect fire, and you don't have what you should have is you should have a holographic line saying this is where you think. For example, when there's a group of enemies, I'll do it again, but my special power has a holographic marker saying like this is where your this is where your grenades will go. But you don't get that with this gun, which sucks. You should have because the game engine clearly supports it, as my special ability will do that, but I've reserved using it yet because oh god, I'm hungry. I need to go eat something soon. But anyway. Just reload because I've spent one bullet. Oh, resources ready. Better help myself to that then. I'll be slow, but I can carry it. Hey, engineer, going up those stairs. Turn around. Come out me. Yeah, that's a you, shooter. Cheers. If somebody could revive me. Oh no, the engineer died.
Like having a really fancy announcement.
Yeah, shooter, that's it. You got the blue goo, thanks. Alright. So there we go. See? That's what I was on about. And then... Oh, got you, you tiger bug. Fuck you. Yeah, that's it. I thought tits up was an abbreviation of total ability to start up, but I can't find a source. No, just like imagine you've fallen on your back, your tits up. That's what it means. This people didn't use acronyms before World War II. And acronyms came about with things like radar and what was another one in World War II? I think radar might have been the first one. So there are people that say, "Oh, fuck was actually for unlawful carnal knowledge." It's like, no, fuck doesn't mean that. Fuck means to fuck. And some might say it comes from fricaire, which means to strike. And
Someone me, there's a tiger coming.
Maybe that's true. I don't know.
Not sure. I'm like 1 second. You just walk right past me. What?
Hey, hi. How's it hanging?
How about some cover? How about some cover, guys?
Oh, cover, yeah. I'll help you with cover. And by cover you mean kill the enemy, right?
By cover, I mean I was carrying the gas and now I dropped it because nobody's fucking covering anybody.
No, I know.
And now I'm dead, so okay, thank you.
Wait, what are you on about?
Literally running past my guys that are looking like somewhere picking their nose or something like. I'm like carrying the gas and being chased by the fucking bug.
Yeah, 2 minutes ago I was over there, but I'm in the base. I had to respawn. That sniper rifle does sound like fun. I'm in a different timeline.
Running and we all got him covered. But when I'm running, nobody's fucking looking like I'm conspicuous or something.
Oh no, I blew up the heal beacon.
It's probably because you smell, right? You know, big showers.
Yep, I'll do that.
It's because you're Dutch. I'm told the Dutch are used to suffering.
Do we have the last gas?
Yeah, it's coming in now.
Yeah, I'm on my way. Doing the gas solo. But I finally got some cover. Ooh, I got a
Oops.
spawn wave on me. I don't think I'll make
Oh, at
it.
least I killed the grenadier.
Couldn't even throw it, sorry guys.
Oh, tiger. Sure.
I'm on my way back.
Oh, wrong way.
Coming up by the blue ward.
Just save the last one for the.
Hit the first ramp. Got taken out at the ramp. She's starting to roll downhill.
Oh no! Too much gas!
And now I'm down.
Oh, there's a Vanguard, Royal Guard.
I managed to
bar
stop the gas,
northeast.
but I'm down again.
near the mobile HQ.
Oh, I don't think I can save these
Shit,
dudes.
that guy is
Big angry
8
boy.
seconds, 6 seconds. Come on, goddamn. Okay, good.
Do we not have any sentry turrets?
Swinging right.
What, we on the budget or
I'm
something?
gonna go up the ramp.
Since your turns aren't that good, put down.
I'm in the main courtyard.
Nice.
You guys should start pulling back because I'm not gonna wait till you're in before I drop this.
Why am I so slow?
We got 2k, that's more than enough for ammo.
Whoever's carrying yellow gas, you can drop that. We have enough gas. Can't even put that in the base. Literally incoming horde. We're done. Everybody get to base, please.
Arc is going to activate in 30 seconds.
We got Angie down in the north, actually. Yeah, north.
I've got his body covered under energy. Oh, he's getting picked up now.
Cheers!
Roger.
10 seconds until the arc is activated.
Where's the first aid dispensers?
Climb the walls.
Connection active with
Right. I'm gonna defend this spot. This is my
Can someone come
spot.
feed me some ammo?
Where are you?
I'm on
Up
it.
on the fucking bash.
Oh, goddamn. Plasma.
I'm on it. Tiger coming to northeast. Plasma's down. Tiger down. I need ammo. Thanks. And then can you get the bugs that are at the top there? You can't really get them with the gun. They're the ones that are hitting the bunker.
Come on, come up the stairs, you little bastards. It'd be really nice if I could aim that. I just had to sort of guess for it. It's like, oh yeah, here's where your stuff's gonna go. Too bad you can't aim. And this one, you can aim it, but you have to guess where it's gonna go. It's like, you know what? Demolition would be a lot more satisfying if you could fucking aim. But it's not. Therefore, it's not fun. But I'm doing it because I feel obligated to be proficient in all classes.
Man, I'm completely dry.
Okay.
Right. Let's chuck a grenade. And then, speaking of which, chuck more grenades. Because I have an over shoulder holder. Is that the right way? It's an over shoulder boulder holder. Sure glad I'm not playing Helldivers 2. I'm trying to lead the targets and... You know what? I think this would actually be a lot more effective if I... Oi, you. Die. If I put it around the actual bunker itself.
Take the last one.
Oh, come on, get up, get up, get up.
Let's do one more. Yeah.
Right, do that. Oh, you fucker! You pretended to be dead. They're smart. Where's first aid? Where's first aid? Ah, I found it. Right, let's get back to where I was. Oh, they breached something.
Getting heavy by the arc.
Right, let's go investigate. Come on, climb, damn you. Looks alright to me. Don't know what all the fuss is about. Ah, got you.
Okay, almost 300 meters west. Go, guys.
Did the pilots hate us or something?
Launch. Thank you for that medic. You just sent this bot action.
Hey guys, hope you enjoy running. 'Cause I don't know how to land this bloody thing. Hey, Fang, if you could heal me, that would be cool, thanks. Right behind you, Fang! Oh. Don't worry, I could heal myself. Oh, sorry, buddy. You bled out before I could revive you. Oh. Hey, I can breathe easy now.
let's go, let's go.
You can run through my fire.
I'm hoping that helps, and I'm not just like firing on my friends. Well, they're not my friends. Allies. Comrades. Camillatones. If I don't have to use the grenade launcher.
Good game, gentlemen.
If I don't have to use my grenade launcher again, that would be cool.
Every trooper makes it home. I was just making sure these lads were out here with these fucking bugs when we leave.
Hey, no carnal relations with the natives.
Come on, let's go.
We even got the recruits.
Come recruit V SN8246.
Well, I guess we're not taking that one home.
Oh, I want to keep him.
He won't.
That was fun. And I figured out what was the cause of my slowdown. Oh yeah, the GPU is far happier now. It's 64 degrees. 4,000 XP, that's better. Yeah! Ooh! Nuclear detonation pack. What am I going to eat? There's a quiche. I have leftover stir fry. I think I'll save that for tomorrow. Yeah, I think I'll have a quiche. It's 10 o'clock though. Blimey. It's been a weird day. Spent a lot of it taking apart a two-stroke engine, so I lost track of time. But it was a fun way to lose track of time, because it's like, hey, I'm doing something constructive here. Yeah, gonna have automatic shotgun, very nice. And I can have a nuclear det pack and thermocharges. Ooh, very fancy. Improved grenade cooldown, cool. Utility satchel, prosthetic service. Prosthetic to give you a little... Increases throw distance by 1.5x. Increases melee damage by 2x and adds knockback. Oh, an extra primary. A reinforced harness allows the trooper to carry additional full-size weapons uninhibited. Replaces secondary weapon slot with an additional primary weapon. Oh, that's going to be fancy, isn't it? Could have a grenade launcher and a shotgun. Or I could have two shotguns. Why can't I fire both at the same time? Either way, Demolish uses a power back mounted gun to launch barrage attacks at enemies. Thanks for watching. I had fun. Hope you had fun.